live, yeah. Well, hello there, good people. Hi, it's Jason here with Green Country Agroforestry. Wednesday evening, 8:30 p.m. Once again, time for another live stream. Hey, I've got this new microphone over here to the side. It's supposed to be omnidirectional. It's supposed to be better than the one I've been using. Let me know if it sounded any better at all, because I have no idea if it actually sounds any better at all. This is the microphone that we're using in the garden party on Saturday. And I figured out something about the garden party. Mary was trying to tell me, but I didn't realize that was what she was trying to tell me at the time. The problems with the video during the garden party, where it was kind of looked like it was pixelating, well, it's because I had the setting on for green screen, and there's a lot of green out there in the garden, and occasionally it would pick up that green of the garden and try to display whatever the green screen image was. I have to remember that whenever I'm not shooting in front of a green screen. So this green screen behind me, that's just a picture of the garden. So I'm not actually outside right now. It's dark out there. And getting cold. It's getting cold. Fall is coming. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, it was 84, maybe 85 degrees today. Tomorrow it's, got to be up there just short of 90 degrees. It's still plenty warm. It's not freezing out there by any way, shape, or form. But the fall harvests are beginning to come in. We've started to see the signs that the corn on the stalks, it's turning, the silks are turning black, brown. The husks are turning brown. The pumpkin vines are beginning to wither in some places. They're starting to cure in. Jason, okay, Vicky is asking me if I have viable pecan seeds for sale. You'd rather risk planting her own. I can send you some. I don't have any for sale, but I can send you some. I'm going to have a whole bunch this year. A lot of the time, whenever I get them, oh shoot, I was just talking with a guy here earlier today about these. This is one. These are actually two from last year. Right here. These are two pecans from last year. I had three sitting on my desk from last year, and I whenever we were sitting around talking today, I took a couple and I pressed them one against the other in my palm, which is the way you break the shells if you don't have a nutcracker handy. I have a nutcracker handy, just didn't happen to use it. But anyway, you get this pecan nut that even after it's been sitting here on my desk for a year, is still edible. I'm not going to pig out right now in front of you, but they store incredibly well in the shell as long as you can keep the critters out of them. Pecans are a really great storage food. Anyway, I can hear in the background, so could you guys turn that down just a little bit so we don't get any echoes? Thank you. All right. Folks in the back room were listening in. So Kimber was saying it gets cold at night, summer temps during the day. Yeah, we have these extremes, right? It's a horrible thing about Oklahoma. Zone 7, which is really about the number of frost-free days you get, not how hot or how cold it gets. But typically, the zones have a range. Zone 7, it's 200 some odd days frost-free, but it gets cold in a few days. A few of those days, it gets really cold. Let me see. Kimber saying she can hear Ezra in the background. There's kitties. There's kitties in the background. There's a setting that they introduced to StreamYard that I'm trying out now, and it's supposed to reduce background noise as well. So if it sounds muffled and I can improve it, I'm going to try turning off the background noise and see if that makes it better. But if it sounds okay, we'll just leave it the way it is. And let me show you some of the stuff that we've been getting. I wanted to headline this $5 bills in my backyard, because I looked at the supermarket prices, and right now It's about 82 cents a pound for butternut squash, Cucurbita machata, butternut squash, orange fleshed winter storage squash, about 82 cents a pound. That's the average. Some places it's more expensive. Some places you can get it cheaper. Well, the squashes that we're getting, the Seminole pumpkin we're getting, I'll show you. I'll show you an average one. This is kind of an average one. This is average. This is about 5.5 pounds. So just a little bit short of $5 worth of squash right there. And I really like this particular this particular shape that they come in, where you have all your seeds down here in a small end of the gourd, but all of this neck here, all of that, whenever you cut into that and you cut that up to cook it, that's all meat, all flesh. And that's just, you don't have to cut around the little tiny area in the middle where you hit it with some pumpkins in. It's round and you have to make this awkward cut to get the rind off. Not so much whenever you've got a big straight neck like that you can just peel right off. Now, this was an average one. Let me show you one that's a little bit bigger. Here's an 8.5 pounder with a bug crawling on it. This is an 8.5 pounder. Vicky, no, I'm fine on black walnuts. I've got one down the street. All I have to do is work up the gumption to go pick them up if I ever really want some. I like to eat maybe one or two of them a year, but it's a lot of effort to get those nut meats out of the shell. Anyhow, whenever I was picking this one off the vine, I get up so I could get in there to cut the vine. And whenever I did, it snapped off right there where it connects. So I just took a candle and melted wax and waxed the end of that. And hopefully that will keep it from going bad on us. I don't want it to go bad on us until we can eat it. But that's a nice healthy squash. It's a Seminole pumpkin, Cucurbita machata. And these are all over the backyard. All over. So on the average, each one's about probably $5 worth of produce. It'll keep all winter, all the way up until spring. Nutritious, delicious, abundant. And we've got just scores of them in the backyard right now. There's a total of 3 vines. I started out with 2 vines. One got damaged, and I took the damaged end and replanted it and went, maybe it'll root, maybe it won't. It rooted. And so I wound up with 3. And now the entire backyard is just swamped with these Seminole pumpkins, and they are fairly substantial. And there's a lot of them. So we've got that going on. I'd say there's probably at least 20 or 30 of them. 20, let's say 20 on the low end that are in about the 5 pound range. So that's about 100 pounds of squash. Wait, is that right? Yeah, it's about 100 pounds of squash. It's not bad. It's just probably more squash than I'm going to eat, but good thing we got people to share it with. All right. We also started to see the corn begin to show signs of being ready to go. So I just grabbed a couple of ears to show you the progress. These already they're turning brown on the outside. Big sign the silks are starting to blacken. These are from where we had the ducks protecting them, and I'm going to show you the scrawniest one first. Look at that. This is that scrawny. It's like a little pencil. There's my hand. This one had probably some grasshopper damage early on. Stopped them all from getting germinated. Pollinated. That's where I'm looking. Stopped all of the corn from getting pollinated. But still, it filled out pretty nice. Let me break off the unused portion. Oh. And I got a corn earworm in this one. He's right there. He snuck in there. I don't know how he snuck in there, but he snuck in there. Well, buddy, you're done. We'll pull him out before he does any more damage. That's pretty good purple. All right, so that's the scrawniest one. And if you guys watched the corn report video that Mary put out, Mary is Tulsa Fox, she's in the chat right now. If you wanted to find her channel, go look for this lady right here. Her. There you go. Just reading what Diane or what Vicky said, and it was like, can I repeat that on the air? Anyway, Mary did a corn report where I got into more depth about these corn cobs and how the cob itself is very thin, lots of plump kernels. The cob is thin, so it looks skinny, and showed off a couple of ears that we pulled early. Corn earworms are duck treats. That's right. They're duck treats, pre-duck treats. So this is another one. All these husks are starting to get papery. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, wow, oh, wow. So this was a smallish looking ear, but look at that color. Oh, my goodness. I don't even know how to classify this color. It's like a purple with an iridescent red finish on it. I don't know. I'm crawling across the camera lens. I don't know if the camera can even do this thing justice. It's not brown and it's not purple. It's just like purple with a plum coat. Like if somebody was doing a like a fancy auto paint job, they did like a plum base and then did like an iridescent red coat over the top of it. That's wild. I don't think I've ever seen one exactly like that before. All right, let me see. Here's the next skinniest one. All right, next skinniest one. So we already know that's kind of deceptive. It looks thin, doesn't mean that it's thin. Skinny cob, big kernels. Yeah, it was like I was telling Mary. I think I kind of like the idea that the plant doesn't waste energy building a big corn cob. It puts its energy into making lots of big kernels. All right. So there we can see how a little bit of grasshopper damage stopped it from all getting pollinated. But the part that did, that's nice and purple and white. And the cross section at the end, skinny little tiny. I mean, okay, there's my pinky by comparison. There it is. My pinky next to the cob. You can see the end of the cob. It's smaller than the tip of my pinky. I mean, this is a really, really, really pencil thin corn cob. This one here, definitely we're gonna save this one for seed for next year because it's so that's so unique. And also look at how it almost got completely. Sorry, getting this out in front of the camera. Almost completely filled out. That was pretty impressive. So that one almost completely filled out. Yeah, that one's going to be seed for next year. All right. Last one that I pulled to have a look at. This one feels a bit thicker. It feels a bit thicker. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be. I mean, once again, it's deceptive. You could just have a lot of husk here. The husk is a little bit greener. Now there are a couple that I'm going to pull probably for Friday's video that you'll see where here at the ends, the plant came up, started producing ears, and then the ears weren't fully developed at the time that the silks came out, and they were getting pollinated. And as a result, the corn cob outgrew the husk. And so at the very end of like the last inch and a half or so, the corn cob with the kernels on it has burst out of the husk. And I need to get those down before it rains on them. It's probably going to rain either tonight or tomorrow. So I'll get those down here right quick. There's some really nice some Molly papers here. And this is another one where I can tell that it filled out all the way to the very end. So this one is, I'm going to do my measurement. Okay, it's 9 inches from my thumb to my pinky tip, and we are not even to the end of this corn. This is probably about a 10-inch here. 10 inches and it's all filled up. All right, you guys ready? It's kind of like opening up presents on Christmas morning. You just have to wait and see what got left under the tree for you. You get to remove the wrapper and find out what it is. Oh my goodness, look at that one. It really is Christmas. Look at that. That is our Big Horse spotted corn right there. About a 10-inch cob, all the way filled up, purple and white speckled. Really, really nice flour corn. There you go. And I have to move these someplace where the critters won't get to them. I leave them out without drying them. The critter's going to get to them. I've been working on trying to build areas where I can hang up the corn and let it dry without critters getting to it. Outside right now, the grasshoppers are starting to die off, so they're not a big problem. But during the height of summer, they were coming up onto the porch where I had the corn hanging. Grasshoppers coming up on the porch, and they were gobbling away whenever they could. So I have several ears that are missing a kernel or two here and there. Yep. My eventual goal is to build up our woodshed and have it screened in with hardware cloth, fairly fine hardware cloth mesh that'll keep the grasshoppers out, but allow airflow in. It's got a little bit of space up here where I can hang stuff like corn and garlic and onions and all the stuff that I want to hang to let it dry. And then down below is my space where I can put the wood. Right now it's like cattle panels and canvas tarp, not canvas tarps. It's cattle panels and tarps, not canvas tarps. It's cheap tarps. Eventually we'll get that fixed up and we'll make it into something more permanent. Yep. Vicky says, select the best, select the best, plant the best, repeat. Now you take your first fruits, take your best fruits, and you don't eat them and you don't sell them. You take them, you plant them, you give them back to the system, and they make it stronger. Kind of helps that this is where that corn originated. So it says, "Hi, I'm home. We love it here." This isn't the original home range of these pumpkins. These Seminole pumpkins are something else entirely. I was not prepared for how much plant you were going to get out of these things. I've grown butternut squash before. And actually, one of my complaints about butternut is, you get a great quality squash out of it. They're delicious, absolutely delicious. Cucurbita machata is my favorite, and well, that's what these are. There's just maybe an older version of the Cucurbita machata, but they just sprawl everywhere and they take over everything. And the Waltham butternut, sometimes some years you get a lot of production out of it, and then some years you get a lot of vine just taking over everywhere and only a few squash. This one, it's a lot of vine, but it's also a lot of squash. A lot of squash. Now, Brandon is saying, why is it purple? I'm new to this. Why is that corn purple? That's the genetics it has. It has the genes to make purple corn, white corn, and occasionally red. This is the old original, or as close to the old original corn as we can get these days. It's a native heirloom corn, originally from here in Oklahoma. Oh, but that one. It's so shiny. It's so shiny. I like it. All righty. Wow, can you believe that's only 20 minutes? It's only 20 minutes. So, all your Hopi blue, all the red corns, all the white corns, eventually wherever they came from, were bred out of this. Yellow corn was a mutation. There's a guy up in Massachusetts got some corn that turned yellow, saved the seeds, grew it, developed it, and eventually you've got yellow corn showing up everywhere. The yellow corn, apparently, this is one of the things that yellow corn brought to the party, was a rather large cob. And since the cob was larger, it had room for more kernels. So larger cob, more kernels means it's potentially more corn as long as the size of the corn cob stays consistent. So that's why you see your yellow corn has a fairly large corn cob, and this Indian corn is a lot smaller. It's different generations and different mutations. All righty. Now, shoot. What else was it? I was going to show you guys something else. They're not in the chat, or at least they're not talking. I got an order for bottle gourds and corn that I shipped out. I shipped out Tuesday, shipped out yesterday. And ordinarily I do shipping on Monday. And seeds are different from everything else. A package where I'm going to ship plants like daylilies or flowers or something like that, tubers, cost me about maybe $10 to ship just about anywhere in the continental United States. Anywhere in the continental United States, about $10. Maybe 50, 60 cents more. If it's crossing the mountains, either way, it might be a little extra. Not a whole lot. But that's why I set my standard shipping rate at, because that pretty much covers most of it. But when it comes to seeds, I put them in an envelope, and it doesn't cost as much to send an envelope of seeds anywhere in the continental U.S. as it does to send a package. It's about $5 cheaper. So the customer ordered up both the bottle gourd and the corn seeds, and I had everything packaged up, put on the invoice that there was going to be a $5 refund off the cost of the shipping, because it doesn't cost that much for me to ship seeds if it's just seeds. Typically, once I figured out that I could do this and give refunds, it's like I made it kind of my standard practice. I'll give you a $5 refund on seed only orders, because it doesn't really seem fair for me to be charging an extra $5 just to make a trip to the post office. I was going to have to make the trip to the post office if I was going to ship it either way, right? So anyway, I try to charge it back. But because there was a holiday at the post office on Monday, Columbus Day, like, why? I don't know. I mean, it's a Portuguese guy working for Spain, travels to the Caribbean and finds an island in the Caribbean. Why is this a United States holiday? None of this involves the United States at all. I don't know why the U.S. has to have this as a national holiday, but they do. In any case, they had it as a national holiday, but my web hosting service that takes care of my shopping cart app and everything, they don't consider Columbus Day to be a national holiday. So they forwarded the payment to my bank account, and I no longer had the funds available with them to make the refund by the time I got to the post office and found out what the exact shipping charge was going to be. So as a result, I am terribly sorry, Charlie. I will get your shipping refund to you the next order that I get. And I'll just have to remember to prioritize making sure you get your shipping refund first before anything else happens. Let me see. Got some pro tips coming on. Stabby says, pulled all my sweet potatoes early. I wanted to let them go to the first frost, but work is going to have me busy, so I won't get a chance. I mean, you're not too far away from here, and we've got a little while before we get our first frost. It's usually we don't get it until at least the 31st. So we got maybe 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks from that frost. It should be okay. Anyway, so you follow it up with pro tip. If you have some Jamaican tomato seed that you want to ship, you can still use an envelope, put it in the coin protector. It'll make it through the letters. Make it through the letter sorting machines. I've been using. I'll show you what I've been using. Maybe I'll show you it. Yeah, I can't reach it. Give me a second. It's right over here. Oy. Right over here is what I've been using. These. Oh, they're almost invisible. because of the green screen, right? They're kind of a bluish green color. They're bubble mailers. You can see the little bubble cells on them, right? They're not really predator transformation like semi-transparent. It's kind of like a bluish green color. Anyway, so these are bubble mailers, and whenever I put the seeds in there and they go through the sorters and they roll it and do all the stuff that they do to envelopes, it keeps them from getting crushed. These are, I think, maybe 40 or 50 cents a piece, so it's like $5 for the shipping, 40 cents for an envelope, and that's it's cheaper than a box. Yeah. Oh, that's a wicked sense of humor. Diana is asking, did I plant the three sisters? Yes and no. Yes, I planted beans and squash and corn. No, I didn't necessarily plant them all together. Whenever you've got ducks running around in your corn patch, it's kind of hard to grow squash in the same corn patch. They'll eat the squash. They did wind up coming up and over the fence and into the area and start to invade, and they ate a little bit of it. They didn't eat all of it. As a matter of fact, I don't have it where you can see it, but I've got one incredibly horribly scarred squash where the ducks kept on trying to eat it. It was on the ground, and they didn't destroy all the vines, and they kept on trying to eat the squash, and it's got scars all over it from where they tried to eat it, but they didn't successfully eat it either. So it's just battle scarred. It's a very, very hardy plant, very hardy, and the ducks will eat squash if they can. Yeah. Well, let me see here. I had another question that came up about the handling of gourds, bottle gourds. Let's see if I've got this one. Yeah, I've got this one around the corner here. I'm gonna give you a couple. Oh, yeah. Let me just fumble with the screen for a minute here. I'll give you a couple of examples. All right. So this is one that we grew this year, and note the mildew on the outside of it. Right. It's been outside and it's been very, very humid here. And so the outside of it's got that mildew on it. It hasn't gone all the way through to the heart of the gourd. If it does, and you get a soft spot on the gourd where you can just like push your finger in and it caves in, it's no good. You just take the gourd, pull the seeds out, break it up, let it decompose the rest of the way because it's done. But you get a little bit of this mold on the surface of it. That's not a problem as long as the skin of the gourd is still intact. Second here. Go grab this other gourd. So I've been asked about gourd preservation. Let me sit down for a second here. I'll show you. This is one that I preserved after the whole preservation process. I'm not going to do a video on this again. I think I did one, but it was not good. It was not good, and I lost the lid piece that I was making for it. So this is an example of a gourd that I preserved, and the preservation process. I'll just describe it real quick for you. You take your gourd after it's dried, and the best way to do it is to put these someplace where they're going to be dry, not in a moist environment, a dry environment. Next to my fireplace or next to my my stove during the winter is probably where these will wind up. And once again, this bit of that's plastic. I was looking for a paper towel. This bit of black mold on the bottom does wipe off. All right, and we'll take care of the discoloration that has been caused there. Of course, some of that discoloration is just going to give it character too whenever it's all said and done. All right, so the process is pretty simple. After you've had this sitting in a nice arid location, like by your fireplace or by your wood stove, for a few months to the point where it's completely bone dry, you can go ahead and make a cut at the top or in the side or wherever you are planning on putting the hole for whatever ultimate purpose you have in mind for this gourd. It's kind of a smallish one to make a birdhouse out of. If it was a little bit larger, you might put a a hole in the side there for the birds to get in or what have you. If you're going to make it into a drinking gourd, then of course you get cut off the very top, and you can fit a little leather seal around that cap, and so you have a lid to put on it too. At least that's the way I intend to do them whenever I do them like this. Once you've got them cut open, you take pebbles, rocks, sand, whatever you've got. Small rocks is best, or seashells is one way I've done it, and put them inside the gourd. Shake it up a bit. Oh, incidentally, I don't know if you guys can hear. Can you hear that rattle starting? It's getting there. It's getting there. Whenever it's ready, you'll hear a lot more rattle. You'll hear a lot more rattle in there. All right. So shake it up until it scrapes the pith and the seeds out from the sides of the gourd. Dump it out. Once you've done that, you're ready to get started. Get some ashes, fireplace ashes, and water. Maybe about a cup of ash to a gallon of water. Stir it up really good. Get it hot. Put your gourds in it. Bring it to a boil, and then reduce your heat. Let it set off to the side for a minute and soak until it gets cool enough that you can pull the gourds out and handle them. Once you do, pull them out, and then just rub. This outer skin will come right off, sloughs right off. That alkaline solution that you boiled them in takes that outer skin off, but it also makes an alteration to the substance of the gourd itself, so that whenever it finishes drying, you can take it and scorch it without burning it. It'll scorch, and once it's scorched like that, it gets that nice browned appearance on the outside. It can't rot. So once it's carbonized on the outside, it can't rot. And then you just rub it down with castor oil, right? And that preserves it the rest of the way. And you can store whatever it is that you want to store in there. Yep. Anyway, so that's preparation and preservation of the birdhouse gourds. But we'll do a whole video on this here in a couple of months whenever they're dried out and ready to tap into. Dun, 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 dun. This is one that I should go and finish the preservation process on, but right now I'm using it to keep the rest of the gourd seeds in. Yeah. And seeds stored in gourds. So, Three Sisters. We actually plant a bit more than Three Sisters. The traditional northeastern woodland tribes accounted for 7 different essential plants that you should grow, and that was, of course, corn, beans, squash, gourds. So like those Abala gourds, sunflowers, sunchokes, and we're growing both sunflowers and sunchokes. Sunchokes are also called Jerusalem artichokes, ground cherries, and tobacco. And I'm not growing ground cherries. I'm not growing tobacco, unfortunately. Vicky says, the gourds rattle. They may sound like my brains. Some days, maybe. I have days like that. Now, I gave up on smoking tobacco a while back. And so I don't feel a strong urgency to grow that particular traditional crop anymore. But that's another one of the traditional crops that you could grow. Can a lily feed the world? Oh my goodness. I'm starting to get some inquiries about the lilies. They are coming up for sale this year. About middle of next month, we're going to start lifting them and storing them. And probably around February, we'll start selling them. By February, I'm going to know which ones have cured and preserved well, and are going to produce plants in the spring, and which ones didn't make it. That way I can avoid selling you rhizomes that aren't really doing all that well. If they look like they might need an extra year or two before they go anywhere, I won't send them. I'll keep them here and I'll plant them myself. And if they make it, they make it. And if they don't, oh, well, they didn't. But it's a lot better than sending unhealthy plants out. So in the interest of keeping the best and healthiest plants and sending only those out, we're going to vet them and start sending them out on February. So hopefully they'll do good. they should still be eating size by the time I ship them out. Please don't eat them whenever I ship them to you. Plant them, grow them, and then eat them. don't just eat them. They will be edible as they are, but it'd be kind of a waste of money to buy them as a fresh vegetable. I guess you could, but I'll be doing a video here not too long from now on how to prepare and cook canna lily roots, which are really, really, really scrumptious and filling. Vicky's saying she's heard that tobacco is a heavy feeder and needs to be cured properly before use. Yeah, I mean, if it starts to get moldy or mildewy or stuff like that, it's not going to be good or at least not going to be good for smoking. You probably still extract the nicotine from it and use it for pesticide, but you won't be able to smoke it. Probably wouldn't want to chew it either. There's Sassafras Red. People are asking about you last week, buddy. You're like, where'd he go? I was like, oh, he works construction. I mean, sometimes he does have to work, Anywho's, I tried growing some ground cherries this year. They didn't take off for me, unfortunately. I will try again next year, or try different things. The tomatoes that we grew are finally making fruits again. I know, right? It's like this late in the season they're trying to make fruit, but they're making fruit, and chances are they'll probably make at least one or two small tomatoes before it's all over and done with. Although these are Brandywine tomatoes, they're supposed to be a beefsteak, big fruits. Didn't do well at all this year, and I'm thinking we're just going to revert back to growing cherry tomatoes instead, because those seem to produce regardless of what kind of a year we're having. I think I'd rather have a bunch of small tomatoes than no big tomatoes. Ooh, 5 10s, 50-hour weeks. I don't envy you. I don't envy you. Good paychecks, I imagine, but that's a rough schedule. A lot easier if you love what you're doing. A lot easier. Hey, I just realized something. I'm wearing the most redneck shirt that I own. It is. Let's see. Okay, so you see the front. It's got, there's the eagle, the red, white, and blue, and the stars and everything. Oh, that's not what makes this the most redneck shirt in the world. This is what makes this the most redneck shirt in the world. It has its very own built-in church key. So like built right into the shirt tail right there. I can be out at a gathering, just walking along, and somebody's going to be there like, I just got a beer from that guy that sells the beers, but darn thing, it's not one of the ones that you can twist the top off of. It has to have a church key. And somebody's fumbling around going, I know a trick where you can take a cigarette lighter and put it right here and just pop it right off. It's going to be great. Watch this. I go, hang on a second. No, actually, I've got a church key right here in my shirt. So I am ready to go to the lake or wherever I'm supposed to be, where people are going to need a church key. I came prepared, I tell you. Carolyn's saying I need a big greenhouse. I agree. I need a big greenhouse. Do you guys see David the Good's new greenhouse? Big one. It's like 24 foot wide, 96 foot long. It's huge. It's massive. It's bigger than the house. It's bigger than this house. It's bigger than this house and the one next door put together. It's a big greenhouse. Yeah, I want a big greenhouse. I don't think okay. I'd love to have one that size. I don't need one that size. I'd love to have one that size. I don't need one that size. We'll get around to it eventually. Hopefully, we hope. One thing at a time, one piece at a time. Demonstrate that we can do good things with the resources and talents that we're given, and then we'll see where we go from there. My first priority right now is get this entire 1/3 acre planted up as much as possible, and then we'll start tearing buildings down and making space to plant more stuff. This is a good question. Vicky, I'm going to skip over you for a second. I'll come back to you. But Diana's saying, heard the grand solar minimum says colder and colder weather next few years. Are you changing what you grow because of this? That's a really good question. And the people that have been paying attention know that the general trend is going into a cooling cycle, not a warming cycle. Although we are in an interglacial warming period, we're technically still in the jaws of an ice age. We have polar ice still. We haven't gotten rid of it yet. It's still there. It's hanging around. It hasn't given up the ghost yet. One of these days, we won't have it anymore, and things will be back to more normal for humans on planet Earth. But right now, we still have polar ice. The fact that we've had polar ice for all of recorded history doesn't change the fact that it is actually kind of an anomaly for the way the planet's supposed to operate. Let me see. What? Cherokee purple tomatoes. Well, I have 2 plants hoping they produce. Yeah. Yeah. Warm weather, not hot. If you're going to grow tomatoes in the tropics, we pretty much have to go with like the Everglades tomato or something like that. And there's another one that's native to Mexico. I got some seeds from a couple of years ago, but I didn't get them to take. They started, but I lost them. But we had those growing, and they're a little cherry tomato, and we had those growing, and they did really, really well whenever it got hot out. And I wanted to get some more of them, but I think the Everglades tomatoes that Daisy sells, I think it's Daisy Good sells off of Etsy. I think those will work pretty good. They probably work for you. I know they'll probably work for me too up here. Ooh, Carolyn got one. Got one for a place up in Georgia, 20 by 32. Well, that's big enough to live in. I mean, hey. Big enough to live in. If it's warm enough for your plants, by golly, it'll be warm enough for you. But I really do want to work on getting a decent greenhouse built here one of these days. And I want it to be Wallapini style, maybe not entirely buried, maybe half buried. And then we'll have the north side and the east and western slopes earth covered, so it'll be half in the ground with a nice view of the southern sky. It should stay fairly constant in there into the winter. And if we make it deep enough with enough volume, I might be able to get away with having an orange tree. I saw that in Nebraska geothermal greenhouse to freaking oranges in the snow, and yeah, I want that. I want that. I want to be able to wake up in the morning if I'm sleeping in the greenhouse, reach up and pluck an orange, and swing my feet out of my cot or whatever that I've been sleeping in while I'm peeling my breakfast and get up, and that's I want to have a day like that. I want to have at least one day in my life where I do that, and then I can just go. I fulfilled my purpose apparently. That sounds great. 20 by 32 greenhouse. All right, so backing up. Biggest thing, I remember a cartoon I saw a long time ago. Because these resorts were saying they had stolen the land, then slaughtered the men, and the locals were giving them gifts of tobacco. Yeah, here you go. It'll get you. It'll get you on the backside. And yeah, tomatoes are perennial. Tomatoes and peppers both. Okra also. Okra plants are perennial. They're a member of the hibiscus family. They are perennial. If you can keep the plant from dying off, it'll continue to grow on into future seasons. Interesting. They don't perennialize here, obviously. but you can bring a lot of plants indoors and keep them going. As a matter of fact, we had our only real success at growing bell peppers so far was a year that I brought in the bell pepper plants I had outside and I kept them in a pot over winter. And was like, okay, we got bell peppers here. We're going to keep them over winter and maybe we'll get some peppers during the winter. And I set up a little tent over here and it was fun. It was purple. We actually got peppers and when, I mean, not big ones, but they flowered, they made peppers. And then whenever spring came around, I took them out and I put them out there in the garden. And that's the first and only time I've gotten any decent sized bell peppers off of a bell pepper plant here in Zone 7A in Oklahoma. It was after keeping them over the winter. They'd already established a root system, having grown one year, and then I saved them and kept them over winter and then planted them back out in the garden. That's the only year I ever got any decent sized bell peppers. I've got a little tiny baby bell pepper out there in the front yard right now. It's got tiny little bell peppers on it. They're so cute. I'd forgotten entirely about it and was like, it probably didn't make it. And then the other day I was walking around there and the sweet potato vines hadn't quite got to that section yet. And so there's a little tiny keyhole where the sunlight shines through and there's a little tiny pepper plant. It's tiny. It's about maybe 6 inches tall. And it's got 2 bell peppers on them and they're about that big around. Each one is about that big around. They're cute little mini bells. This is though, I mean, that was what was supposed to grow was miniature bell peppers. I'm like, shoot, if I can't get a full size bell pepper, how about a mini bell? Maybe I can stuff them with cream cheese or something, right? Make them good. But I'm going to have to come up with a different solution for sweet peppers. Cayennes grow for me pretty good. I can usually get cayennes to grow, but I need to find a different sweet pepper if we're going to have a sweet pepper because the bells just aren't doing it. Yep. Hugo Homestead's in the house. Sassafras and our sweet cayenne pepper is going on 4 years old. Same pepper, kept it going 4 years, and that's in Illinois, guys. So that's I mean, yeah, you can take them in. You can keep them over the winter as long as that plant doesn't die off. It keeps growing year after year. Yeah, shrubs in Arizona. That'd be something to see. Let's see. Yeah, as long as you're, if you're up in the mountains, you get frost, even in the subtropical regions, but the valley areas shouldn't freeze over too badly there. Yeah. And in which case, the peppers should perennialize. You can keep them in the ground year round. Hey, I got to the end of the chat. Isn't that cool? All right, so let's see. Announcements. This coming Friday. That's today is Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, 2 days from now. 2 days from now. 2 days from now. New video coming out. I think we're going to start doing the corn harvest in earnest. The second corn harvest. I might shoot some video around that. For Sunday, if I have follow-up footage to shoot by Sunday, I will show you what I did today, which was run around and break ground in the duck area, the duck enclosure. Not the place where the future duck pond is going to be. I mean, it is right around where the duck pond is going to be. But I specifically did not break ground in the duck pond. I broke ground all the way around it and planted wheat, about 180 square feet of wheat around the area where the duck pond is going to be. Because apparently the ducks don't want to eat wheatgrass. They may eat the seeds, they may eat the little shoots when they first come up, but once the plant's established, the ducks won't eat it. So I wanted to put something in there that the ducks were not going to eat, so it wouldn't be just bare ground. So I figured, let's plant some wheatgrass in here. So I'm excluding them out of that little area for a couple of weeks, and we'll have wheatgrass go in there after it comes up, and we can let the ducks back into there. We're going to exclude them from the corn patch area. The first, I've noticed that the way the duck cut is, the way the early spring sun falls, it doesn't warm up the last row or so, and so corn's not going to grow really well in that far north row in the spring. The summer, I can do all 3 rows I've had for corn. That's not a problem. But corn's not going to grow well in that first row. So there's a couple of different things we could do. I could sow it with maybe peas, like an early spring pea or something like that, and get peas out. I could get peas out in the fall too, for that matter. Or I could have that one be just 1 row of wheat grass, 1 row of wheat, plus the area around their pen. So I've got about 180 square feet. These rows are 4 foot wide by 20 foot long, so that's another 80. So we're looking at what? So 180 plus another 80, 260, around 260 some odd square feet of wheat, which is not a lot of wheat, but that's enough for me to put into my mill, grind up, get enough flour to do the flour part of breading and frying stuff in cornmeal breading. So I only need enough to do a few things that I need a little bit of wheat or a little bit of gluten for. So if I'm going to mix buckwheat noodles, I want to have a little bit of gluten so the noodles can have some stretchiness while I'm trying to make them. Otherwise, it's a mess. It's a pain trying to make noodles that way. So a little bit of wheat might be good in those. I'd hoped to grow rice, but so far my attempts to grow rice have failed. Apparently, I don't have the knack for growing it, or I picked the wrong type, or didn't do the right thing with it. It requires further experimentation on my part. In any case, I'm not the world's most amazing gardener, you know. I just keep on trying things until I figure out how to do it. Sasspress says already planning next year's gardens, looking into chickens. Chickens are awesome, and some more hazelnut. Vicky says she's got the habanada is, oh yeah, it's habanada. There's nothing there. Habanada, heatless habanero. Sweet cayenne is still hot, but it's, I know what you mean. There you go. Yep, hazelnuts, brown Kevlar shells, little round nut. Those are not acorns. Acorns are also similar, somewhat similar in appearance, but the acorns, of course, have that little cap on the top that identifies them. There's a kitty behind the green screen. Specifically, he's in the chair behind the green screen. He climbed up in there. All right. Diana's saying, where do you get the chinkapins? No, you're not going to ask me where I got mine? Okay, fine. Be that way. I think I got them from One Green World, or maybe I got them from, I don't recall. Oh no, I got them from Hidden Spring Nursery in Tennessee. That's where I got them. I think that's where I got them. Allegheny chinkapin. Just a pretty much ordinary, normal North American native castanea chestnut. It's a shrub form of a chestnut. Sasspress says he found some in a nursery down in Texas. One of these days, you'll be able to get them from us. I mean, knock on wood. Hopefully, you'll be able to get them from us. Right now, the only thing we've got is red buds and black locusts and a couple of pecan trees. Red buds and black locusts are on pre-order right now. If you guys want them, it's a limit of 3 per customer. That way, it makes it harder for me to run out. Not assuming there's going to be a big stampede or anything, but just in case a whole bunch of people are interested in black locust and redbud trees, it's limit of 3 on pre-order, and then here in the cut like another month or so, once they go dormant, I'll count how many we actually have in inventory, and then it'll go to regular sale, and the price may or may not go up at that time. I don't know. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see, keeping pace with the rapid rate of inflation. Oh joy. Oy. And what other kind of wonderful misadventures that the people operating things in the United States have in store for us. All right. Sasspress said, decided to plant all our volunteer trees on our newest lot. That's awesome. You got to the point now where your weeds can be used to go build another place. It's a great place to be at. And then you get to the point where you look around and go, okay, I recognize that tree and that bush, and that bunch of flowers over there. There's some ramps over there. Those are nice. Oh, I planted ramps. This last week I planted ramps up under the pecan tree. So we'll see if we can get a little colony of North American native wild leeks growing in my forest garden. That's gonna be fun. Um, but after a while, you look around and go, wait a minute. That over there is a winged prickly ash, and I know I didn't plant any of those. And that one over there is a pecan, and I've got pecans, but I didn't plant one there, and I didn't plant one there, and I didn't plant one there, and I didn't plant one over there. Um, that one over there is a flowering quince. I know I didn't plant one over there. And so I'm starting to see different trees and shrubs and bushes and other plants popping up in places where I didn't plant anything. And it's all because the creatures are starting to get involved in the act now too. The squirrels are coming along; they're going to grab a few pecans, and I'm going to go stash this one over here. And they're doing what they do. They plant nuts, and then I have new trees popping up. I've got several volunteer pecan trees in different spots throughout the yard that I'm looking at, going, okay, do I want to let this one grow here, or do I want to dig it out? Do I want to move it? Do I want to sell it? Well, what do I want to do with this one? Eventually it's gonna be at the point where I have to get rid of them. I have to move them because the pecan tree has a certain amount of spread that it needs. You can't really grow them and crowd them too close together. It's detrimental to the trees as a whole. About 30 foot apart is about as close as you want to have them. That's still a little crowded. They have a spread of about 60 feet or so. 60 feet from side to side, up to 120 foot tall. Great canopy trees for North America. They can grow just about anywhere here in North America. And as a foundation for the great North American rainforest, I think pecans would be a good canopy tree to have and support a lot of life. Yep. So Vicki was asking about pecan seeds. I'll save some. The limbs are loaded this year. We've got plenty. So I'll pull off some and save for you. I'm going to be planting a lot more of them than ever before. I'm going to try to resist the urge to eat them all. I know that's just going to be hard because I literally sit here day in, day out. No, I don't sit here day in, day out. But when I'm sitting here at my desk, I have a nutcracker within arm's reach at all times. I am ready. I am ready to eat those nuts. Pecans are delicious. Hazelnuts are delicious. Almonds are delicious. They just don't really grow all that well in this area. Although I got one that may work out. We'll see. We'll see how this almond tree does. If it actually grows, if it produces almonds, I'll be surprised. I'll be happy, but I'll be surprised. In the meantime, it's just going to be fun to look over there and see if I can get an almond tree to grow here. Sassafras found a nice bur oak, planted it. Yep. The bur and swamp white oaks are supposed to have the largest, sweetest acorns. The largest and sweetest acorns are a variety of swamp white oak that grows a little bit to the west of the Great Lakes region, and it never got distributed in the same way that the pecan did. It's probable that the people that were distributing pecans were responsible for breeding those particular oak trees, but at some point in their development, they made a switch from horticulture and went more into regular agriculture, started growing more corn, and stopped relying upon the trees so much. And then their civilization disappeared, and other people moved in and started using the mounds that they built for other purposes. And now we can't excavate them and explore them and learn more about that people from long, long ago. So, yay, great. Best recipes. But food locked down in our zone 1, 2. Fruit and nuts are locked down at half acre. So we're planting habitat for animals. There you go. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Squirrel, rabbit, deer, turkeys, pheasant. Did I mention rabbit? That's all meat. It's all meat. It's pest control and it's stocking your larder at the same time. It's 2-in-1 miracle. Carolyn said I'd love to buy some pecan seeds or trees. We'll have a couple. I'll have a few trees. I don't have them on pre-order, so whenever they go dormant, that's whenever I'll move them, because I'm kind of monitoring them right now and figuring out which ones I'll allow to leave the property this year and which ones I want to hold on and watch a little bit longer. Their first year, whenever they grow, they're right under the parent tree, and then whenever they go dormant is whenever I extract them. But we'll have, I think, maybe 6 or 7 pecan seedlings this year. Does Mary make pecan pie? No, she doesn't. She doesn't. My grandmother used to make pecan pie. My grandmother made a really good pecan pie. But I can't eat pecan pie anymore. It's too much sugar. All the good stuff. Too much sugar. Joe's asking if the mountains in the southeast are national parks. I think most of them are. But the same culture that we're talking about, a forerunner of the Mayan culture, which is forerunner of later Aztec culture. So these were people that were around a long time ago, building these earthworks. Most of them are, but they built all up and down the riverways, and so I would not be surprised if there are undiscovered mounds along the Arkansas River and mounds that have been just quietly bulldozed. Because if you say anything, you get land and you find that you've got one of these mounds on it. One time it was like, hey, wow, this is an archaeological opportunity. People want to see what's in there. They want to open it up and stuff like that. And there's very few that were ever opened where there was a full, proper cataloging of everything that came out of them, which is the big problem. People get touchy. Go, this, we're sacred land. We buried our dead there. That's the burial mounds. Well, yes and no. People did bury their dead there, but the people who buried their dead there are not the people who built the mounds. That's the cultural problem. So it's a site that's contaminated by subsequent cultures, and it's kind of strange to say that the people that we're protecting are the contaminating culture. But we can't really get into them. There was one in Spiro, Oklahoma. That's all the way down there in the southeast corner of the state, right where the Arkansas River starts to exit from Oklahoma, is where Spiro is. They put together a company, a treasure hunting company, with the intention of opening up the mound, excavating, cataloging everything that they found in there. I mean, they planned on doing this the right way as an archaeological site. And treating it with respect. But then somebody went to go file an injunction to keep them from opening the mound. And during the time period between the announcement that they were going to file and the official injunction arriving, the people that were involved in the project said, well, it's now or never. They used dynamite to open the mound. And all of the artifacts disappeared very, very rapidly thereafter. A few managed to actually get cataloged, but most of the stuff just went poof, gone. But from the things that didn't entirely escape the Spiro mound, we found out an awful lot about that particular culture. They had trade that traveled all across Mesoamerica, all the way down into South America, all the way out to the east, and all the way out to the west, all across the continent, both North America down into South America. This culture had trade. It's a good possibility they had trade across the ocean as well. The things that were in there showed signs of great sophistication in artwork and construction. There were the usual expected, the soapstone, Ojibwe sort of stuff from the Northeast, and from further north. Copper artifacts. There was residue of Yopon holly, which had to have come from the East Coast because there wasn't any growing here at the time. We didn't really have Yopon holly growing anywhere else other than the East Coast, from say Virginia on south, and maybe down into Texas a little bit. I mean, just very, very the east end of the South is about all the place where it grew. Until somebody figured out that it makes a pretty good landscaping tree, and they took a version of the Yopon holly and made that a landscaping tree, and now you can find it all over the place. But the residue of that holly in the cup, in the crockery, in the mound is an indication that they were very familiar with the black drink. Whether or not they were just using it because it had caffeine in it and it perked you up, or whether they were using it to have the full religious experience, which is where you consume too much and you purge violently and have visions. Apparently, I would never done it and don't have any intention of doing it. But I don't know. I don't know how they were using it exactly. But Yopon holly as a tea is a wonderful substitute for Camellia sinensis or coffee, either or, and it grows here in North America. So, like you're saying, some tales have multiple layers, different civilizations. I mean, yeah, I mean, the people who were here first built to a certain level, and then people came along afterwards and they built on top of those ruins. The one at Cahokia, they were looking at the wood debris at the top of the mound and trying to get an idea for what was at the top of it. And it had to be a multiple story wooden structure, like 3 or 4 story wooden structure built on top of the mounds. So it wasn't they have these earthworks and people built their huts or something on the top of it. Oh, look, the great chief, he's living up there. It was large multi-storied buildings that required a bit of engineering skill to accomplish in wood that were built up there, but they're not there anymore. It's just, you can just find the residue, the debris, to indicate exactly how much wood was up there. I've heard elsewhere that there were persimmons getting riper earlier this year. So, yep. Dun, 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 dun. Missouri Department of Conservation sells seedlings. That's cool. It's actually really cool, especially if the prices are good. Yep. No. Anywho, I think that's all the comments. I've reached the end of the comments. Oh no, we reached the end of the internet. Yay. Okay. So let me see. Garden party announcement. So I talked to you about upcoming videos. Garden party announcement Friday. That's 2 days from now. Oh yeah, that's what I was getting ready to tell you. Friday, 2 days from now. New video coming out, and Friday evening, 6:30 p.m. at the Grape Arbor outside. Y'all are invited. Whoever happens to be in the neighborhood, we're making spaghetti Friday evening. And I always make too much spaghetti. So if you happen to be in the vicinity of northeastern Oklahoma and have the ability to type in Green Country Agroforestry and put that into Google Maps, drive yourself on over here. Friday is coming Friday, 2 days from now. That'll be Friday it's the 13th. We're going to have a Friday the 13th party. And we're going to have gory, bloody spaghetti. Although it'll probably be angel hair pasta, actually, instead of spaghetti. But I make a killer sauce with mushrooms and artichoke hearts and lots and lots of tasty noodles, Italian sausage. Are we going to throw in meatballs? Meatballs. Lots of fennel, though. It'll be good. That's what we're doing on Friday night, starting at 6:30. Be here or be wherever you are. But we're having dinner. You're invited. So come on over. That's all I've got for you tonight, good people. As always, I hope you found the video informative or entertaining. If you did, you know what to do. I will catch you next time. But until then, by all means, get out there and get growing. And I'll see you here Friday.